where we explore the fascinating world of fatherhood. Uh, today, we're today we are tackling a question that's both exciting and a bit daunting. So how do we raise creative kids in a world that is increasingly, demanding, STEM skills? So, my friend, we have a special guest, Mark Jones, who is the author of the Starving Artist Myth. So, he's gonna share with us some 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 great information about that, how we can really tackle this issue and be successful, both us as parents and also our kids. So he's here to debunk those old stereotypes and make sure that we know how to nurture our kids' artistic passions. So thank you, my friend.
Good to see you, Suleiman. Really happy to be here.
Amazing. Same here, my friend. Thank you so much. I really look forward to our talk today. Um, you know, so how like maybe for people that do not know you, we can start there. How do you can you introduce yourself, my friend?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, and I'm a producer, I'm a writer, I'm an educator. I've been working in post-secondary education for the last 25 years. I started off as a part-time teacher
Mm-hmm.
in a creative interactive media design program. Today, I'm the dean of the Faculty of Animation, Art, and Design at
Mm-hmm.
Sheridan College here in the Toronto area, which is globally known for programs in animation and musical theater and arts and crafts, and we're actually Canada's largest and most comprehensive art school.
Okay.
So I do writing, I do education planning and programming, and I love speaking to young people and folks like you.
Oh, amazing. Oh, thank you for calling me young. I will definitely, I'll accept that, my friend. But no, sir, this is amazing. And it's really nice to have people of your stature in our podcast, and also sharing that experience, because we don't have that background. And most of the time we have this idea, thinking like, okay, if somebody's choosing arts, whether it's music or whatever, we think like they're not going to make it. And I think you have great example from your book, and maybe we can dive into this chat right away. So what like most of the parents, they worry about the disturbing artist myth. So what is the biggest misconception about the creative careers today?
I would say the greatest misconception is that these are not real jobs. That if you have a child in an art program when they're young, if they love dance, if they love painting, if they love
Right.
making little videos on their phone, that these are great hobbies, but they're not necessarily things that should really be taken seriously as potential careers. And so, I'm a dad myself. My
Hmm.
kid is 16 currently. I
Okay.
had an experience during the pandemic when they were in grade 8. And, I think like a lot of us, we have very creative kids who love doing creative things and art things, and they're good for personal development. But, one day my kid said to me, I decided I want to be an artist when I grow up. And Suleiman, I have to tell you, it didn't matter how long I'd been working in education. It didn't matter
Hmm.
how many graduates I saw being successful
Right.
and going on to really excellent careers. When that happened, I was like any other parent. I put my head in my hands and
Hmm.
I couldn't help myself. I literally said, "Oh no, what are we going to do now?"
Uh-huh. Oh no.
So
Hmm.
I'm coming at this from the point of view of an educator and a parent,
Okay.
and that was really what led to the book. But I would say that's a common misconception, that these are not real jobs, and we can certainly talk about
Hmm.
what that means to look at it as an alternative.
Right, right. Okay. So now actually it's getting more complicated, because now you have AI and everything else, that is changing everything. So uh, that's so in the future, how can we help, our kids stand out and also accept, them to pursue their creative side and also deal with the AI?
Yeah, so let's create a bit of a baseline just to have the discussion about AI, because it is a topic, especially within creative industries, that when you bring up, it immediately it it can take over conversations. It is such a huge concern right now for many of these creative workers, for educators, like at the place that I work at. How are we supposed to handle AI? But let's start by acknowledging where these industries are at in the United States. And so the creative industries in the United States let's just talk about what's happening with them currently. So the National Endowment for the Arts recently released a study that showed that the arts and cultural economy represented 4.3% of GDP in the US. That's about a $1.1 trillion value. So it is a significant part of the economy. There are many significant parts of that. The industries generally grow at twice the rate of the rest of the economy. So in the US, since the pre-pandemic year of 2019, arts and cultural industries have actually grown by 13.6%. It's the same here in Canada. The stats are very similar. It's about the same percentage of GDP. It's also the same rate of growth. So the question that comes up when it comes to AI is that going to be an enhancer or a disruptor to the economic stability and growth that creative industries represent? The answer really depends on a number of things, and it really has to do with how an individual learns about artificial intelligence and what production studios like film and television studios, streaming services, video game companies, design companies, how all of these things are actually going to be integrating artificial intelligence. So what I usually say to concerned parents and our students who bring up the question of AI is, look, the first thing that we have to acknowledge is that creative skills are needed across all sectors of the economy. We have a tendency of looking at creative skills as being only applicable to arts and culture and to define creative industries like being a film director or being a visual effects artist or being a musician or so on. But in 2023, the World Economic Forum released a report on the future of jobs, and the two most important skills that it listed in that report were analytical thinking and creative thinking. That is true for the automotive industry. That is true for natural resources. That is true for the finance sector. And so if you're a creative person worried about artificial intelligence, the first thing you need to know is that your skills are needed beyond more than just your immediate discipline interest. So you might be interested in photography, but ultimately creative thinking, creative skills are going to have a place in all forms of the economy. But at the same time, all forms of the economy are going to be impacted by artificial intelligence. And so just looked at from the point of view of the arts and creative industry sector, we know that historically change has always occurred as a result of technology. That has been happening since the time of the Industrial Revolution. The question when it comes to artificial intelligence is that it is so powerful that it may begin to change certain jobs in a way that the AI can handle these jobs entirely on their own. An example of that that's been brought up is visual effects for film and television. What is the role of the artist going to be in a world where artificial intelligence is generating visual effects very cheaply and very efficiently for studios? But at the same time, are the artificial intelligence tools going to open up new opportunities for new types of creative work? And how does that, how do those sets of opportunities create needs for creative individuals to adapt their skills similar to how they've had to adapt it for technology development for decades and decades and decades? So we don't really know at the end of the day which way this is going to go, because a lot of these tools are still in development. They show some promise, but frankly, most people I know that are watching things that have been generated purely through AI, they say they don't really think it's at the level of quality that it really needs to be at. So I don't think we're quite at that juncture yet, although some studios are starting to bring it in. But what I would say to parents and to young people looking to get into these fields is these are still stable jobs. They will have to adapt. We will have to adapt with them. And our education system is also going to have to adapt to understand what the implications are of the technology. And we're going to have to adapt our education approaches in order to meet that. And that's not true just for the creative sector. It's true for every sector across the economy. So we have a lot of work to do ahead of us, but I'm still optimistic about the future of creative work as a result of the resiliency that we've seen historically with young people and experienced artists finding places for their skills.
Okay. Wow. So, yeah, I know because, for instance, you know, the curricula have to change, and so all these classes, there's so much that is just quickly changing, and we have to somehow adapt. I think the Department of Education in all the the countries that like different countries, they have to pay attention to that. So how do we support the, like like nurture our kids to be like, okay, so I know the school has to adjust, but also we as parents, we have to somehow maybe to take them to extra like classes. You have folks that are offering maybe some advanced classes from like whether it's Google or MIT or whatever, like something that is not usually their class at this time, but because of the the speed of this thing that is going, do you recommend anything that maybe we can do to help our kids to like somehow match in terms of the lessons, and also just to be um, to like keep up with the pace?
Yeah, there's many things that we can do. And uh, one of it is to just share their interest. If you've got a kid, whether it's a younger child or a teen or even someone who's in college or university right now,
Right.
who has shown an interest in applying creative skills to projects that they enjoy, then I think as parents, like any interest that our child shows, we want to share that interest. We want to learn what that interest is like for them. That may lead to things that we do together. I think as we all go to movies together as families, of course. That's an obvious example.
Right.
Um, I think one of the things that we can do as parents is if you're seeing that your child is doing creative, if they're creating things on their own, if they're creating videos on their own, if they're creating audio clips, if they love editing video, if they love drawing, if they love painting, if they love singing and they're just creating music, or they're just walking around the house humming to themselves. We as parents can pick up patterns on those things.
Right.
And actually look at it from the standpoint of, oh, it feels to me like my kid actually has got an interest in this, and they're doing it on their own steam. So, many parents, and I was one of them, when my kid was quite young,
Right.
we were quite deliberate to place our child in various programs, like dance programs and drawing camps and things like that. It wasn't necessarily something that that they, at that time, being very young, showed a huge interest in, but we just thought it was good for their development. But there comes a point where you start to see that your child is doing it on their own steam. They're spending their own time on it. Maybe they're spending more time on their devices than you would wish as a parent. I think that's true for many of us too. But the question that I ask is, well, what are they doing with their devices? If they're consuming social media, what kind of channels are they tapping into? Are they just scrolling, or are they finding an interest in things like they're following certain artists because they're interested in that art, or they're following tutorials because they want to learn how to develop a skill better? So I think we as parents can tune into that and can actually lean into asking, oh, is this because you've got an interest in this? And if their answer is yes, then how do we actually then go about supporting it? Another thing that we can do is, if they do show an interest in something, if you go to a movie together and they start talking about that they like something, ask them, what about that thing did they like? Ask them to break it down. Was it the story? Was it the visual appeal? What was it about the visual look that they enjoyed? Did they like the acting? Did they like the characters? So remember that there's not necessarily a direct relationship between their initial interest or talent, drawing and painting, photography, etc., and what they may ultimately do with that. A lot of us as parents tend to think that if they love photography, they're going to be a photographer.
Right.
They may choose that, but those skills can actually be used in many different areas. And so developing creative thinking in any field has many benefits to them as they get older and as they start to define for themselves where they want to place that. So I would say that's a good starting point, is just to tune into that and ask questions and support them along the way.
Oh, that's amazing. But also somebody might say, okay, you know what? Not every child will become a Picasso, like a, renowned like specialist. So how do we still, because sometimes, um, because sometimes, let's say, I think you have raised some really great points that, even though we might think like, okay, they're not necessarily going to become this, let's say, like if it's sports or like whether it's art, they're not going to be that person. Like you might have the negative thinking, but then I think you have raised a great point that we still have to nurture them still, because they can still use this hobby or this interest into some other avenues down the road. I think this is a great point.
Yeah, and it's true. Not every kid is going to be Picasso,
Mhm.
and um, there is a there's a lack of understanding, in my view, between the stars
Mhm.
in these creative fields that are household names
Right.
and the um, many other ranges of
Mhm.
opportunity, degrees of work, what it means if they're in a field where
Mhm.
it's really more entrepreneurship based.
Mhm.
And so the question about how do you nurture creativity is, first of all, understand that if you're a parent and you're concerned about the future of your child
Mhm.
as a result of them expressing interest in wanting to move into a creative career,
Mhm.
um, don't push the panic buttons right away. That's advice that I give to those of us as parents,
Mhm.
because it can often lead to images of because the only ones that we're really aware of are the Picassos or
Mhm.
the Lady Gagas of the world or
Mhm.
the Beyoncés of the world or
Mhm.
Ryan Reynolds. Like pick your field.
Right.
You can probably identify a few stars that are household names in that, and the perception can be that the odds of attaining that degree of success are so small that my kid is not going to find any degree of success.
Mhm.
And that is just factually not true. For every actor that you see in a movie,
Mhm.
there are anywhere from 30 to 80 people behind that actor producing that film. And so, how do you nurture creativity? Well, part of it is that you need to learn your own creativity as a parent as well. You need to be open to trusting their own instincts and their own curiosity of
Mhm.
what having a career in a creative field might actually look like. So the nurturing partly comes from all of us learning about those things together. So, I, as a parent, if my kid wants to go into an animation program, for example, like, okay, like I, as a parent, what does it mean to be an animator today?
Mhm.
Where are the job opportunities? Because the other aspect of this, which I think is true for most students when they do go into college or university, is that many programs in education are really good at showing the craft of those areas.
Mhm.
So an animation program will teach you how to be a great animator. Photography program will teach you how to be a great photographer. But what a lot of these programs often leave off the table is, what are the business conditions of those fields that you have to learn if you're going to be successful in there? What are the strategies you need to develop for yourself as a creative that wants a career,
Mhm.
wants to make money?
Right.
Um, and there's no shame in making money. And that's
Right.
the other thing, that
Right.
there can be an association that you can only be a true artist if you're a starving artist.
Right.
Because if you're not a starving artist, you're selling out. And so in the book, I really try to break those myths down, because they're quite harmful, both for parents, those of us
Mhm.
that actually have kids who want to go into these fields,
Right.
and for the kids themselves, because they actually think, well, my choice is, if I take this seriously and I decide I want to be a musician, I'm making a choice where I'm going to be starved for most of my career, and that factually does not have to be the case. But the education programs themselves
Hmm.
are more often than not they're going to default to teaching really good craft, but they're not always going to be good at teaching the business skills, teaching the technology tools that
Hmm.
those graduates need to know in order to market themselves and to find
Right.
work, how to see themselves as people with abilities for a global market, not just a local market.
Right.
So I'm an educator at heart. I bring a lot of these things down to education. So how do you nurture it? You learn. You learn what that creative impulse means for your child. You learn together what actually is possible in terms of success.
Hmm.
And the more that we can grow together on that, I think, as parents and children, the more that we're actually creating a much more robust environment for success, including the shifting of our own potential fears that
Right.
are very natural because we want to
Hmm.
protect our kids.
Oh, this is a great point, and I think not only in that field, also in medicine, it is a real struggle. Of we do there's no much teaching in terms of okay, this is going to be the real world. This like you're gonna be coming across XYZ and you have to learn how to survive, whether because a lot of times since we don't have that, we experience the whole burnout, the whole change of careers and such after finishing the whole training. So I think the idea of the business of a particular career in the end, I think is an amazing thing to provide at the early stage. This is a good, like great point.
Absolutely, because these are businesses.
Right.
These all it doesn't matter what creative career someone is looking at.
Right.
They all fit inside the economy. They're all industries.
Right.
And therefore, even if our education traditions have not necessarily allowed students to understand the full scope of those business opportunities,
Hmm.
they can still do it themselves. They can still seek
Right.
out local groups or professional groups for their discipline of choice. They can still research on YouTube people who have been successful at doing
Right.
those things. How did they do it? People are very open to telling their stories. They want to
Hmm.
share how they found success.
Right.
And I really think that this open platform that we all have available to us through
Hmm.
social media and channels like YouTube and through things like what you're doing and other
Hmm.
podcasts,
Right.
that information is available to everyone. And there's insights into hearing those stories
Hmm.
that are an excellent way of enhancing any kind of formal education experience. So I would
Right.
say absolutely go do your art school, go do your design or music school program, but don't limit yourself to that. Seek out all of these other people in your local communities
Hmm.
through organizations, through searching them on YouTube and social media and learn from them because it's such a rich learning environment that we're living in right now.
Hmm. Thank you. I definitely will be. I look forward to advising folks down the road. For instance, in my field, we have the whole medical quality, we have documentation improvement. Because a lot of times, when I say when the physician finish the training, is July 1st. They start residency and training, and then they start practicing. They come across something that is totally new. I mean, now actually we have some programs that are starting to educate students on this so that when they start practicing they're familiar with because and this is actually something very crucial because up to 2010 like 2009 2010 when I was finishing we didn't have any of that in the curriculum. So and actually this is how we get paid. That is the language between um, you know you taking care of the patient and you getting paid from the insurance companies. So it is something that is very crucial and it was lacking. So I think you mentioned some really great points, and I think we just have these great tasks in front of us in terms of, let's say, whether it's AI to create those curriculum, and whether and whether in terms of the business aspect of any careers that we're teaching like our kids, I think is very important. So thank you for encouraging folks to pay attention to whatever field they're going for. Just do a Google search, YouTube search, learn more about it. Learn the ins and outs of it so that we can be more familiar, so that you can ask the right questions to those advisors, because we have like you do have advisors into all these different fields. I remember one of my advisor in Bowling Green State before I joined medical school. She was from MCO, former Medical College of Ohio, and she was very she played great part of me choosing what I was going for, and you know because she was practicing, but also she did not she ended up not even practicing in the end. She wanted to just advise folks to go towards the right way, based on her experience. And she did not feel any, there was no shame in it. There was nothing, she wanted to make an impact. So I still meet a lot of people in my career, in my field nowadays, that they're open and they're willing to divert their interest, because we have to change our mindset of just, yeah, I'm just gonna do this and that's it. They say I'm gonna do pharmacies. Like I remember my original goal was pharmacy. Becoming a pharmacist, and then I was changed by my parents. But we have to continue to really. It's okay to change. It's okay to change, my friend. I think this is one thing that I'm trying to insist on people at the moment is really it's okay to change based on your current situation and go for what is making sense, whether it's business wise, your interest, because interests change, right?
100%. And it's so good that you're bringing in an example from the medical field as well.
Hmm.
They say that most of us will have three careers in our lifetimes, that these things are not fixed. And even if you're in a dedicated field like medicine,
Hmm.
how you actually find opportunities within the universe that is the medical community, and
Right.
and all of the spectrum of things that are in there, I'm sure these have very direct comparisons to people that are entering the universe of creative fields. And
Right.
so I really appreciate that point, because you're absolutely correct. It's true for every field,
Hmm.
even the ones that are seen as being more traditional.
Hmm. Oh, amazing. So, what is one thing, my friend? I'm trying to divert a little bit. What is one thing that we as dads can specifically do to encourage our kids that maybe moms do not think about? I mean, besides, let's say, sports or making our kids, if it's a boys, strong or whatever. Anything else that you think we can do better?
Yeah, I think it's true for both moms and dads, but
Absolutely.
I'm a dad, and so I
Yeah.
will I will come at this also being a dad.
Yes.
Um, I think you know our creative kids love to do their creative work. They love to
Yeah.
do their video edits. They love to do their audio recordings and post them.
Hmm.
They love getting on tablets and drawing things and sharing it with their friends. The
Hmm.
one thing that, if you're noticing your kid is wanting to do this as their
Hmm.
career, I'd
Right.
say the contribution that we can make as dads is to say, that's really great. But if
Right.
you're going to do that, you need to learn the business side.
All right.
You need to learn the side that is around the technology tools for your own success.
All right.
And you're also going to have to become familiar with the aspects of your field that are um, influencing its success. So, artificial intelligence is a great example of that.
Hmm.
So, I would say our role is to create a grounding for their creative interest,
Okay.
and what are the other things they are going to have to learn, because most of our creative kids, they don't want to learn business, but
Yeah.
we can insist,
Hmm.
learn financial management skills for yourself,
Right.
learn how to manage money, learn what owning a business in that field of your choice might look like,
Right.
and actually help them find resources
Hmm.
to do that. I think that grounding is super important.
Oh, thank you. I think this is a great share. I just wanted to, I had logged in. I know, I'm supposed to be live in all these different avenues, but I just added something here on Insta. But I wanted to show some people a little bit about. You- Let me see here. I'm gonna share about your book. Let me share. Okay, so I hope you can see my crowded window. Okay,
Absolutely.
absolutely. So this is the book. The Starving Artist Myth, and I think this is a great book. Folks can find this book in Amazon. I will be sharing the links as well on how folks can find that. And is there any I know you provided a great example of like somebody that I think is also very special, and I look forward to collaborating with me, you, and him as well down the road. Maybe you can go ahead and mention that one of your great student. Uh, like it was a great example that he went through this. Let me see if I can go back to my chat with you here. Somebody that he's I love how he went through this experience, but then in the end he was very successful. He persevered, besides all the negative talk along the way.
Do you mean Tristan?
Yes,
Tristan
please.
Barracks.
Yes.
Tristan is a great human being. His
Uh,
journey was so fascinating.
mm-hmm,
Um, he went to my school
mm-hmm,
when he was a mature student,
mm-hmm.
and he took a program in the school. And today he is a very prolific filmmaker uh, who very much centers the voices of Black people and
Mm-hmm.
people of color. And
Right.
he and his partner
Mm-hmm.
are go-getters. And he told me once that they named their production company
Mm-hmm.
Mid-Career Productions
Okay.
because his the people that he was getting feedback from in the film industry here in Canada
Right.
was that, well, you really will get more support when you're in your mid-career. You're too early in your career to kind of get
Right.
the level
Mm-hmm.
of support that you think that you should get right now. So they said, okay, we're going to name our company Mid-Career Productions.
Oh, there you go.
And they just right away, but they're superstars, and I just admire so much of what Tristan has done over the course of his career, and he's featured in the book, as you say.
Yes, yes. I think that's a classic of lemon into lemonade. They have an amazing lemonade juice at the moment. Yes. Oh man, how do you how old are your little ones, my friend? Not little ones, but your your kids, my friend.
16 now. I've got
Okay.
the one, just the
Uh,
one. I don't know how people do more than one.
I know. You lose hair quick, but yes, I do have four, and they grow up fast and they talk back, and like those different stages.
Yeah.
Yes, but this is amazing. Thank you so much, truly, for sharing this experience. How can people find you, my friend? Besides, I think I just shared. I don't know if you can still see my screen share, but
Yeah, the easiest thing to do is go to starvingartistmyth.com,
mhm.
and you'll see a link to the book if
Mhm.
anyone's interested,
Right.
and a link to my free newsletter where I keep people up to date on the latest trends and commentaries
Mhm.
on successful creative careers.
Okay, okay. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. And so, please, dads, remember that creativity is not just about art; it's about the solving innovation, the expressing oneself authentically, and also based on what we have spoken. Is we have to uh, be active as parents to mom and dad as well, to search based on what our kids' interests are, more about the future of that interest, and don't limit them, thinking like, okay, is harming and singing, maybe it's going to be a singer. They can use that information, that experience into something else down the road, based on my great guest has shared. And also the whole thing with AI, I know is a challenge not only for us as parents, but also our education systems. So uh, don't feel bad, but at the same time, don't wait for the system to catch up, because sometimes system can be too late and you can be affected immensely. So don't let that affect you. I think we should be active in educating our kids about the system. Make sure our kids, too they're not as, because sometimes, okay, so you do have different teams. You have some parents where they don't want their kids to be involved with the social media and at all. So I think those guys, we need them to slowly, adjust to allowing the kids to learn about social media, to nurture whatever careers they're interested in, along with the business of those careers. I think these are the important things that we have come across today from our talk. Is there anything else, my friend, that you wanna, that you wanna conclude with?
Nothing except to say thank you, Suleiman. I've really enjoyed the conversation and appreciate the opportunity to talk about these important issues as dads.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks so much. And so, guys, please stay tuned. We'll be posting this episode pretty soon with the links to our great guests. And please give him a follow. Get the book so we can be inspired on how we can raise our kids better. So, thank you again. Stay, and I'll see you into the next episode. Thank you.